Hey everybody, what's up? Circus here, coming at you with another meta watch video. This time we're gonna be doing Triamids. They got some support in the latest box with the Sphinx, and we're gonna see how they're doing, see if they're gonna become a meta deck or not. And we did get some tournament footage from today in a tournament that we held, and Rye was just casting it. Actually, he's still on stream from that tournament right now, so I thought I'd
YouTube, Twitch, what's up, boys?
catch him while it's still hot. So how's it
There you
going,
go.
Rye? Tell us a little bit what we saw with Triamids today.
Pretty good. 4 Trimids top today. I mean, that's pretty good, not gonna lie. Trimids have topped a lot since Sphinx has released, but have kind of struggled to really reach the upper echelons of the top 32. We have seen them in top 8 and in top 4, which means we'll see them in the power rankings. But whenever we see that, it's mostly due to people not reading their cards.
Okay.
Not so much that they're actually outplaying their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting deck for sure, but the problem with it is it kind of feels like once you understand what you're doing against them, it kind of becomes easy to counter them in a way. It's not like the Karakuri's, the other Meta Watch deck that we did, where there was a lot of potential for techs, a lot of potential for side decking, stuff like that. This is a deck that main decks balance, so you're kind of limited in what you can actually side deck when you're actually kind of getting into it. The only kind of, I guess, nice thing to say about it in terms of being a meta deck is if you had Trimids before, you only have to get one Trimid Sphinx, and that's it. You're set to go at that point.
Well, it seems like a big weakness of the deck, though, right now is if someone uses a Cosmic Cyclone
Oh
on your
yeah.
field spell.
Yeah, yeah, that's so obviously Cosmic Cyclone has always kind of destroyed Trimids. You
Mm-hmm.
can't chain your Trimid effect cards during your turn. It has to be during your opponent's turn. And on top of that, if you only have one monster effect, they're just gonna chain to that monster effect, and then you're going to lose your field spell regardless. So that's a huge weakness. While Sphinx is a nice body to have on the board, especially in defense mode, while you're trying to prevent yourself from being murdered while you get at the top deck another field spell, it's still just a nightmare if you lose that field spell early. You don't have enough resources, and you only get that one draw per turn, and then slowly but surely you usually get KO'd in the top
So
cut.
we saw before with Dark Lords, like adding one or two cards just made the deck broken. You know,
Mm.
I'm getting the sense that this one card just isn't going to be enough. Like it's a nice addition, but maybe like with Karakuri's, we got a bunch of spells and traps and all that stuff to go with it. This you get one card.
Yeah,
Is
you
one
got
card
one card.
enough?
Now the one card's really nice, but I think it was a good enough card to bring them into that rogue status, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're going to see, we saw no Trimids in battle phase, period. And today, 4 of them topped. That's a really good conversion rate, even though they don't really make it that far. They only make it top 16, top 8. It's still a really good conversion rate. I think what's really missing from the deck for them to be like really good right now is they need a way to not have to play balance. Which
Yeah.
means they need a consistency boost so they don't have to play balance. So they can play a different skill and make themselves a little bit more flexible.
Because
Dueling,
once you do your opening hand, unless you
yeah,
can
you
really
everything.
establish yourself, you're they don't really have a lot of draw power. I mean, they can do a little bit, but once you do your opening hand, then you're just kind of stuck
Yeah,
top
you're just kind of
decking.
sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, it's
mean,
just one of those things. You just kind of, I was telling chat today, once you lose your advantage and your opponent just has too much card advantage over you,
right.
they just start snowballing because now you're just in a top deck situation where you need field spells or you need monsters and you need them both at the same time, and you're only drawing one card per turn.
Right, you can get advantage
Yeah,
if you can swap your field spells, but if your field
yeah, yeah.
spell gets hit, then it's kind of like,
It's like,
oh, I got to top deck into something, and every time you're gonna
right.
get the trap. Was it the core? You're always gonna pick that up.
Oh, the pulse.
The pulse, sorry, the pulse. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
try
always
me
gonna get
pulse.
the pulse when you
Yeah.
don't want it, right?
Exactly. I don't want this. Um, but yeah, I mean, at this point, it's very safe to say that the deck is going to be in the rogue status for a while. We'll have to see if people continue playing it in the XCs era, or if it's just one of those decks that we're playing and passing for fun. Most of the different cards you'll see is more along the traps. For this player, you're seeing Treacherous Trap Hole, for example. he's been using that, but some people they just use Wall of D. Some people that's where a lot of your kind of changes between the decks happen, because for the most part the field spells and the monsters it's going to be a similar ratio due to balance just being the best way to play the deck. Even if you have a chance to brick by your one monster being your Sphinx, it's still the best way to do it, unfortunately.
Well, it seems like the problem that they have, that a lot of decks have, is they have to rely on their back row because their monsters don't really do a whole lot. I mean,
Yeah, they're not
uh,
too great.
one can help you normal summon, not special summon a
Mhm.
monster. One can destroy a set card, and one can pump them up. But that's
Right.
really not a lot when you look at other
Yeah.
archetypes where you can get a negate, you can get a special summon.
Mhm. I will say the best thing going for the deck right now, besides the Sphinx, obviously, what kind of bring them in. The Sphinx lets them kind of stay evenly matched, but the King Golem is so powerful in the meta right now.
Hmm.
Witchcrafters cannot activate Veer's effect to boost because it's in the damage calc, and
Right.
damage calc cannot happen under King Golem. It just goes
Nice.
straight through. You can't activate anything. So Witchcrafters, I believe, actually, who the in top 32, I believe the Witchcrafter player was actually knocked out by one of the Triamid players. So there you go. That's pretty good. And then on top of that as well, Neo's playing all that back row. Well, a lot of that back row can't be activated if it's like a Wall of D, for example, into the Triamids. And
Right.
even if you side them out, you're at least taking game one with the King Golem. So that right there is kind of what's been really, really nice about the Triamids. And then the Sphinx is just good enough for them to live, because it's searchable. You can search it with the cruiser, and then if you have a King Golem, you can summon off the King Golem right away, or you can just wait for your little Triamids to get smacked into, and then you summon it from your hand on top of that.
So it sounds like it's really more of a consistency and speed issue, right? The deck is
Yeah,
kind of slow
it's
in
kind of slow. Yeah.
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you have a decent opening hand and you're able to go hunter into cruiser into another monster, and then you have like set your pulse, that kind of situation, you're like chilling. It's not the end of the
Hmm.
world. It's not the best opening hand, but you're gonna be able to do pretty well against most decks, unless they open multiple cosmic cyclones. Then you're screwed. Then you can't do anything. But hey, it is what it is. If they go first and set Cosmic Cyclone, you might as well just scoop it up, because I barely see Triamids make it back after that happens, where your opponent sets Cosmic, you go make all your plays, and they Cosmic you in the end phase, and you just lose the game off that.
Okay, so one thing I did notice, the Pulse is a nice card, but it can be very costly at times. You got to banish 2 cards to do it, to be able to pop another face-up card on the field. Um, where other effects, you can summon from the grave, but I mean, where are you at with this card? Do we see it being more helpful than hurtful, or?
So Pulse is interesting because it does synergize very well with the deck. It gives you your free pops, and of course, if you swing in King Golem, that's a free pop that they can't really stop with King Golem active. And it lets you re-summon your Sphinx, which allows you
Mhm.
to play that Sphinx at 1. So while it sucks that you kind of have to play a slow trap, I think it's just too key to the deck to drop as of right now. Maybe moving forward in XC's era, they can. I mean, they're all different levels, so it's hard to say what they can really do with XC's. But as of right now, I don't think you can really play, at least without one Triamid Pulse. You know what I mean? Especially with balance and it just being one of the cards that you end up playing. I think you're kind of forced into doing it.
Do we see a lot of people using up their resources to the point where they're kind of like, I got nothing to use with the dancer, or I've run out of field
Um,
spells? Because you cycle through them so much, and then if
yeah.
you're in the grave and you're banishing them and you're not
I
recycling
mean,
them,
you do, but at the same time, it's kind of like
it's probably over by then.
what? Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, what else can you do? You don't really have the draw power to Karma Cut or Raigeki Break. And relying on Wall of D isn't really it's just Wall of D. If they know you have it, they're not going to swing in. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So it's just one of those things where you kind of need to. You just kind of need to use up
Right.
your resources from the grave and not use them on your dancer to get a pop sometimes, or to get a resummon. If your Sphinx dies, that Pulse is the way to get it back. So
Right, which is an effect we didn't really see get used a lot. We used to call a lot of Triamid games when the
yeah.
deck first came out. We didn't really see that
Nope.
secondary effect get used very much at
Yeah,
all.
when Sphinx came out, I was actually surprised because I saw someone use it, and I was like, oh no, it's too late. He's gonna destroy one Purgatrio, but the other one's gonna kill him. And he was like, psych! He summoned the Sphinx from the grave in defense mode, and he was too big for the Purgatrio to swing over.
Nice.
So a lot of people are forgetting that effect, but slowly over
Not
time,
anymore.
not anymore.
Yep. So what else are we seeing for back row? Obviously, we saw treacherous trap hole in the clips here. What else are we seeing them play?
We're seeing things like Wall of D, of course. I did see one play Mirror Wall, but I'm not 100% sold on that. You know, obviously a damage
Mirror
step card.
wall. Come
Yeah,
on
good
now,
old
really?
Mirror Wall. Mirror Wall is an interesting card. It can be used in the damage step, but right now there's nothing that's relevant enough to use it in. Before it was with Dark Magician, you can't negate the Mirror Wall if you do it in the damage step with the Magician's Navigation. But with Dark Magician kind of being tucked away in the meta, kind of in the corner there, I don't really see it as a big deal.
Well, if you're going against Black Wings and you go first, you set your wall or your mirror
Yeah,
wall,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then in the draw phase you use it, right? And that way it's
That's how you
face
do it.
up.
That's the play.
That way they don't
Um,
hatronade it, or not Black Wings, but someone that has access to like hatronade.
right.
Yeah.
You know, of course, we've been seeing things like Fiendish Chain. I think that's one of the cards that we'll always kind of see. Um, I mean, that's pretty much it. Treacherous, Fiendish Chain, Wall of D, stuff like that. Just kind of generic, good, staple back row that can pretty much carry you through any deck.
Okay. So nothing too fancy, but
Nothing
expensive
too
enough.
fancy besides the Pulse. Yeah, pretty much. Pulse is just too key for the deck for them to drop. Even though it's slow, it's just one of those key cards that they gotta play.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like to me we're gonna have a few tournaments where they do kind of hot, but within 2 weeks we could
Yeah.
probably hold a funeral for the
Yeah.
Triamids.
Probably. I would put them as a really strong rogue deck. And in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, they're going to win tournaments. You know, you
Hmm.
like don't be surprised when it happens. But don't go into the new box purely to play Trimids, assuming you're going to win with it, because chances are that's not going to be what wins. It's going to be the Kara Curry. It's going to be decks that are using the Karma Cut. You know, the Neos players that didn't have
Hmm.
Karma Cut before because they just couldn't go in the selection box or didn't want to go in the selection box. Now they have it, and it's very powerful. That's why you go into the new box. And honestly, if you have Trimids, you're probably going to go into the new box anyway for Karma Cut, or maybe even get to get Kara Curry. You're probably going to get one Sphinx, and that's all you need. So you're gonna, if you want,
Right.
hey, there you go. The most expensive part of the deck is buying the old Trimid cards.
Well, maybe we'll start a new series in a couple weeks called Meta Funerals, and this might be the first one.
Wait, don't we
But
already have something like that?
yeah, I'm sure we could do a bunch of videos like that. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I guess you'll probably be seeing them on the Rogue Deck video. So make
Yeah.
sure to watch for that. And if you guys like the video, of course, make sure to get into our Discord because that's where we host all of our tournaments and you can find out about them there. And then you can join them. And maybe this could be you up on screen right here.
Could be.
That could be you. So make sure to check that out. All right, we're going to get out of here. I'm Circus. That's Rye.
Bye, YouTube.
See ya.